Welcome to BeerNet Radio. Listen to on every continent except Antarctica. B-E-E-R-R-N-E-T.
Beer.
BeerNet Radio.
Jordan, how are you?
I'm good, man. I like the new addition to the double glasses with the croakies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That way I don't lose at least one of the pair.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, I'm not at my office.
I see that.
Anyway, just waiting on Jen and Dan Baum from Multiply.
Jen said she was in the waiting room. Do you see her?
No, we've never had technical difficulties before.
No. This is strange.
This is strange. I don't see Jen. She's clicked the wrong link again. Jennifer. There she is.
You see her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How is everybody doing?
Hey.
Hello. Is that Dan Baum?
Yes, it is. What is up?
How are you? Listen, it's so good to talk to you. Dan Baum with Multiply. You've been coming to our summits for years, and I appreciate that. And, so your firm, welcome to BeerNet Radio, by the way. I'm Harry Shoemaker. We've got Jordan Driggers and Jen Litz-Kirk on the phone. Yes, I am at a Chili's in New Braunfels, Texas. I was en route to Austin, but I didn't make it all the way, so I had to pull over. So I apologize for the setting. But Dan, what your firm, what I think is cool is it's the intersection between data, PR, and social media. So tell us about what you do, where you came from, and who you are.
Yeah, awesome. Well, awesome. First of all, great to be here. I'm not at Chili's, but I think it's like a 10 beer conferences, get one podcast. And Harry, I'm glad to see you back with the glasses stack. I was worried. I thought maybe you got progressives for a second there. And but
come on, you know me better than that, Dan. Those are too expensive. What do you think? I'm rich? A Rockefeller?
Yeah. So Multiply is a PR and social agency that moves at the speed of culture that focuses on beverage. So we work in the space with beer, spirits, and wine companies, and some non-alc beverages, even some non-alc beverages that look like alc beverages, and help them do their strategy. And then we execute in PR, social, and now even crazy metaverse stuff. So that's our deal.
Well, and is Constellation one of your clients or no?
So we're currently at Molson Coors.
Okay.
We were at Constellation. So as agencies move around a bit, that happens. But so we've worked across the beer space, and we're currently working on MSJ's team.
Okay, cool. Because last I checked, I read this in a deck yesterday that Corona has the most social media presence of any beer brand globally, by far, I think. Tell us a little bit about strategy, especially within bev-alc beverages. What kind of strategies are working nowadays? Because it's kind of it's confusing. I mean, there's too much. I don't know where to start.
Yeah, it's confusing. Well, it's funny you should mention Corona. I mean, I think we brought the idea of Snoop Dogg to Corona originally, by the way, and so we left. Then they implemented it. So send me a check, Jim Sabia.
He drops it like it's hot, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, the whole campaign was drop a line, drop it like it's hot. It made a lot of sense. And here you are, Corona's doing quite well with that. But I think the whole point is moving to the speed of culture, sort of going with what is happening in culture. But in terms of strategy, macro view of beer. I mean, we work in a lot of social space. PR even today is mostly digital. But beer is kind of on the TV ad, addiction. Keep shooting more TV ads. And the distributors tend to, they when you go to these distribution conferences, and Harry, I know you make your way, I know you guys make your way around to them, and so do we. You'll see, what do they show them? They show them the spots. What does Gen Z not watch? Television. So
right. Unless it's live sports. I mean, really, kind of the Super Bowl is the kind of the last place where the 30 and 60-second ad goes to live, right, or to die.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. We can talk about, like, should beer companies even be focused on the Super Bowl anymore? I mean, the Super Bowl, of course, other than World Cup, it's the biggest sport in the world. So it gets the biggest eyeball. So it's hard to ignore. But listen, I thought if you wanted to say which beer won the Super Bowl, right? I'm gonna have to root to for my hometown team with the Miller Metaverse. But Snoop Dogg being in the show was a big deal. Rock being the Rock, DJ Johnson being down on the field was a big deal for Molson Coors. And so I think it's better to be within culture than trying to interrupt it. But the interesting thing about COVID that we haven't really talked about yet is that everyone said, if you took down TV advertising and went more PR and social and went more digital and more innovation, would we lose money? COVID hits, everyone takes down their ads. Most beer ads went down by over 50%. Budgets just, clicked off like that. And, overall, yes, we did see about a 3% drop, as in the beer category, but RTD shot through the roof. And so net advertising on TV went down, but the business overall went up. And so from a strategy perspective, we're having a lot of interesting conversations about, hey, where should beer companies, using Jim Koch's, wider definition, be playing?
I'm curious about the specifics of what you guys do differently a little bit more. And hi, Dan, by the way, Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah. So, I was perusing your website, and I know, for example, you have that xdashboard, right, that allows your clients to kind of track in real time, the earned, the shared, the owned media, all of the sales data. So I have a feeling that is part of what makes you guys different. Can you explain exactly what that is a little bit to us?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's two ends to any, great marketing execution, right? There's the creative, the magic of moving at the speed of culture, and there's the data and performance. And, old model marketing, set it and forget it, get a big plan for the year, go out, and at the end of the year, you say, how do we do? But in social media particularly, and in the digital world, you can kind of see how we're doing right away. And the xdashboard brings all that data together and basically puts up beautiful graphs so you can get a sense of what's working and what's not, and pivot quickly. And is particularly important for something we're trying to wrestle with in beer, because when you have the 3-tier system and every can of beer has to be sold 3 times, it becomes a little harder to track cause and effect. But if you do get all your data in one place, and you can kind of say, okay, well, when social engagement goes up in this zip code, 2 weeks later, sales goes up in this zip code on the same brand, pretty soon you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what's working, what's not, and how to kind of adjust your mix.
And it's kind of interesting. What are your clients tracking these days, right? Like, to your point, you can't say like, this ad 1 for 1, this ad made this sale for us, right? So what sort of metrics are your clients looking at?
Well, I think there's, first of all, I think the ability to track is getting much, much, much better. And not only that, what you can't track, you can start to extrapolate using data science. We just have the computing power now and the analysis tools that we just didn't have 5 years ago. And so it's not quite there yet in the beer category, but what you're going to see is companies getting much more efficient in their marketing spend, such that profit margin should go up, in the next 5 to 10 years, because the marketing science just gets better. But listen, people are really interested in impressions and engagement in our space still. I don't love those metrics, but that is what those are the metrics that are making the dashboards right now.
When you say your clients are that beer industry is going to get more efficient with their marketing, does that necessarily mean less TV ads? Because obviously those cost so much.
I mean, I think there's a tremendous amount of waste in TV ads. And it's not just in the cost of the TV advertising or the cost of the production. I mean, if you take, take the beer industry inside talk, right? Anheuser-Busch, try calling someone, they're entirely focused on the Super Bowl. I think, even, Molson Coors and Constellation, everyone is doing a really good job about modernizing, but they're still really spending a lot of money on television advertising. Some of that's now moving into programmatic and pre-roll. But I think that you're going to see, as the data science advances in time, that things are going to move much faster, because it'll give people confidence that, hey, if we don't spend the money, we'll still sell the product. And that's really what suppliers want to hear.
And COVID proved that, just like you said.
And COVID is the best case study for that, because so advertising goes down by half, right? Yeah, beer sales went down immediately by 2.8%. And by the way, I should source code IWSR IRI, the fantastic people that just presented it at Beer Summit, right?
Good. That was a great presentation, and it was kind of upbeat too. I mean, yeah, beer's down, but it could have been a lot worse.
Beer's down, but ready to drink was up 62.3% during that same period that beer was down immediately after COVID. So advertising goes away, but consumers are still drinking more and essentially buying more product from, Molson Coors, Constellation, and Anheuser-Busch, and so Boston Beer. So you've got, business is good, but advertising is half. So I think that, basically where we work is in the areas that are still working: social media, earned media, and now I think, metaverse, Web3 is obviously a really huge opportunity to kind of finally transition and get off the crack of TV.
Is that what you guys are doing with Molson Coors, the metaverse stuff?
Yeah, that was my question too.
We didn't do Miller's Metaverse. I thought it was very cool. We're doing a lot of PR stuff. Some of our most recent work is Prony. We, for example, we're bringing them into culture. So you've got a wonderful premium Italian beer. And now we're creating things like, Prony M Gemini shoe collaboration. So these super cool white Italian shoes. And giving people beer shoes, something to write about. It's a PR stunt. It's a quick moment in time. It's not a heavy spend. But then also, during the summer, Prony Gelato, which is lovely, or their collaboration with Anthony from Queer Eye and Netflix, and just these fast cultural move at the speed of culture, be relevant and be true to the brand. So we're doing that type of thing. And then at Constellation, I think, our Drop It Like It's Hot campaign was actually supposed to feature Snoop, and that would have been the original idea. But we ended up just dropping the New Year's Eve ball like a lime on Cinco de Mayo. So lots of fun work in the beer space.
But I think I read this, Dan, on your blog, and correct me if I'm wrong, because my memory's shot. But and I blame it on.
Why would that be, Harry? Why?
I know it's not the 8 liters of pure ethanol I've had in the last few years, but no. You talk, I think, about the planning process and how suppliers a lot of times, they're like, okay, October, November, December, we're going to plan for the whole year. But what ends up happening is that you really don't get done with planning until March. Was that you?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah. So
okay, good.
Don't get me on my soapbox about planning, Harry.
Well, I mean, because it's so funny. When I read that, I was yelling at the screen. Yes. I mean, this is for 20 years. We've been hearing, why are these suppliers having their distributor meetings in March and April? I mean, hell, the Super Bowl's over. The quarter of the year's done. But you're right. More doing and less time planning. Explain a little bit your thinking on that.
Yeah, well, like just to take you inside the belly of the beast is that almost all portfolio companies, and we work with a number of the spirit and wine companies, or I should say most of them as well. And so most of the practices are the same, where you're doing year-long plans. And everyone starts planning around October with the idea that you're going to be done by December. But then a brand manager changes, and there's a reorg, and there's a new innovation, and there's a new priority. And really, these plans, you'll be lucky if they're done by the end of February. And now you have, but in reality, a lot of them are not done until March or April. So instead of having 10 months to execute your go-to-market plan, because of the slowness of the planning process, you have 8. And that puts a lot of pressure on those dollars to be spent in that 8 months and to be spent wisely. And it's very hard to do that. And so what I'm trying to get our clients to do is to do 2 things. One, plan on, say, a 3 to 5 year time period. I mean, most of the trends we see, look at the seltzer trend, big 3-year trend. Most of the major consumer trends we see are now 1 year, COVID is different, but not 1 year trends. And then, allocate maybe 60% of your budget, have a really big job you're trying to do over that 3 year, really make a difference to the business, and then hold back, depending on the brand and its kind of tonality, 20, 30, 40%. And every 3 months, come up with quick ideas, quick turns, and move at the speed of culture in these sort of hyper plans. So really, I mean, I think it's up to us as marketers and Multiply really has a responsibility here to be efficient, to be fast, and not to spend so much time behind the scenes in meetings, coming up with ideas, scrapping ideas, writing plans, scrapping plans. So we're really working to get much, much faster.
I mean, I like that, moving at the speed of culture, because like you said, in the old days, cultural things moved at about a year at a time. But now, like in let's just say June or July, we have no idea. There could be another Tiger King type thing. We have no idea what's going to be weird and hot and everybody's going to be talking about this summer. And so you do have to kind of be nimbler, right? And how you plan for things.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also, one of the things we're really focused on is making sure that every piece of marketing execution we put out, whether that's content on Instagram, whether that's an idea in the metaverse, whether that's a PR stunt that interrupts culture or goes with culture, is in itself something that is awesome, right? We're in a category where we put a lot of time, for example, into packaging, a lot of time into taste, and then sometimes just take pictures of it and put it on Instagram. And I think what we're doing, and really Mike Cesario, who's our client and a friggin' genius at the non-alc rocket Liquid Death.
We need his contact info, by the way.
Oh yeah, I thought that ad was just brilliant.
Let me put Mike's cell up right now on the screen. Yeah, everybody.
Tell him we want him on the pod. I think that was just hilarious and brilliant. Everybody's talking about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a hilarious and brilliant guy, but the whole philosophy of his work, and we're really, really honored to play a small role in his team and do a little bit of work there, is that every little piece of content, give that the love. Your packaging should be so cool, he likes to say, that it goes up on a teenager's wall, that they want to put it there like art. Your Instagram should be so shareable that it doesn't need as many paid dollars behind it because everybody wants to share it. It's just not something that's like kind of interrupting them with a Bud Light Next ad or something. So it's got to be better than that. It's got to be really, really good.
That product to me is all about the marketing, because I mean, if I'm him, I never would have started that company, because I'm like, well, this is a great idea, right? More recyclable receptacle for water. Of course, that makes sense. But why would I be able to do it better than Pepsi or Coke? Because I was first to market with this brilliant marketing, making a joke of a water brand that also happens to be eminently recyclable, right? Like, I think that's incredibly brilliant. So whatever hand you played in there, kudos, Dan.
Well, I will say, there's a community kind of like what you've built at Beer Summit, which is a wonderful committee that I'm really, happy to be part of in the non-alc side, called BevNet, where, as you know, where a lot of these, and I watched him pitch his brand initially, and the whole panel was like, this is dumb, right? This is water in a can. Why are people going to pay for this? And I afterwards I was like, listen, that's the best pitch I've seen, I think maybe ever. And yeah, we help out from time to time on social media. And actually, I think that's part of the new model, which is bring in multiple agencies, bring in multiple, who's got the best idea, jump for the ball. I think MSJ is big on that, and let everyone go for it and let the best idea win, as opposed to sort of these long-term relationships that maybe don't bring the best creative out.
Just one more quickie from me. You mentioned you also work with a lot of spirits and wine companies.
Yes.
Do you think that they're kicking beer's ass when it comes to social, PR, digital?
It depends on the specifics, but basically yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I think I think comes down to it. But I think, because spirits didn't really have the bad habit, right? They're basically boxed out by law for a long period of time of TV advertising. That changed, but they had to get clever and creative. And so I think they've done, in large part, a better job of focusing and spending time on digital and making sure it's not like the third thing on their list. Where I think the beer, I think it's getting there. I think you're going to find, especially with the metaverse and Web3, that your CMOs and your head of marketing at beer companies are going to be spending more time on those products and quickly less time on television. But it's really a painful transition, and there's still a lot of money being wasted every year on TV. Yeah.
Okay, if I can get a word in.
So anyway, like I was saying.
All right, Harry. No,
Jordan.
Dan, as we talk about real-time data and, the growth of bev-alc e-commerce, I'm wondering, are you starting to see a spike in sales? Can you measure that after a spot airs or after a social campaign launches? Are you starting to notice people turn to their phone to buy something instead of saying, oh, I'll wait, or I'll go out the next day and grab it at the store?
Yeah, I mean, I think
has it gotten big enough?
Yes, you can. You can get a lot of third-party data. Look at Drizzly, look at Instacart. They can tell you who's buying what when, and you can correlate that back to whatever marketing activity. The weird thing is, and I'm a huge advocate of field marketing. We don't do that, but I love field marketing, of kind of getting out there and getting as close as possible to the consumer and doing cool stuff. But, with this sort of new e-commerce wave of delivery services, the Instacart rep doesn't care about the display. They're just coming to get, the Miller Lite because Miller Lite was ordered. And so it is interesting in that, yes, you can get pull through, you can see who's buying what on Instacart. And that sort of replaces what, you're going to see that twice. You're going to see it on Instacart, you're going to see it on IRI, but whether or not you had a cool display didn't matter. It was whether or not you had the right social activation to get the person to buy Instacart in the first place.
It does move the needle more towards social versus in-store marketing for sure. I mean, it's still on the fringe because the vast majority of the product is bought at retail still. But
yeah.
But it's a
no,
slow,
I don't think it
slow
gets
march.
it away, but it just takes some efficiency away from the in-store stuff.
Okay, so Paps with the ass eating. What was your opinion?
No opinion.
Brilliant or?
I mean, listen, I think anything that gets people talking is moving at the speed of culture. And while I might not have done that campaign myself, I think taking creative risks and going for it is something I'm always celebrating as a creative.
Yeah, and it might have been an accident, although I'm not sure I buy that.
I'm not going to go too deep down in that wormhole. I'm not sure where that might lead to.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. How do people get in touch with you, Dan?
I have the world's worst URL, so don't try to reach me on the web as a digital guy. So, LinkedIn, Dan Baum on Twitter, and cell phone 703-980-9640 via text.
You're gonna regret that.
Let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens here.
I got to tell you, Dan, I put my cell phone number out there a few years ago because I was like, I want to be closer to my clients. I want to be tight. And I changed my number 6 months later. So
that's not why he changed his number.
No, I had some ex-girlfriend problems as well. But
I got one more that I have to ask, and I can't think of a better person to ask than Dan. All this NFT stuff in the beer world, is that a viable marketing tool? Because to me, it smells like BS.
Yeah.
How do you really?
Let me tell you what I think.
It's really cool stuff with a heavy dose of BS. And so, I mean, I think the thing of it is, just to unpack this, I'm really glad to see beer brands actually activating in the metaverse on the first sort of wave, right? Out there with Nike and other brands that are doing it, because it takes some kahunas and it's definitely risking capital in the sake of advancing creativity. In terms of NFTs, I think they are going to play a really important role for brands in terms of unlocking loyalty programs, really having a one-on-one relationship with consumers. Now, in terms of how they're being used a little bit as trading cards or just, throwing the noun glasses in your Super Bowl ad, I think it's a little bit of a miss.
Well, the guys that we're about to meet in Austin, they sold $28 million worth of NFTs in about 10 minutes. So
yeah,
they're making money.
I know, but
and the cost to do it was nothing.
How much of that is loyalty and how much of that is just people trying to trade them off for, like you said, trading cards, just, trying to make another dollar off of it?
So I mean, I do think that, NFTs are going to be part of the marketing mix. I think that they're going to, this idea that, yes, people are trading them and flipping them and making a, crap load of money. And that's what's driving a little bit of this bubble mania. But if you can kind of, look forward 5 years and say, okay, there's going to be some people that made money, maybe the Budweiser, I'll regret this and should have snapped up some of those Budweiser NFTs that are worth, like 250 grand a piece. I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is going to happen is you're going to see the bubble pop. Some of the stuff will still be very valuable. But what's going to happen is brands are going to find ways to make them valuable and to use them as keys to unlock experiences, to be their loyalty program, to signify that, yeah, you're a Miller person, not a Bud person. You're a Corona person, not a Miller person, Bud person. You're a Boston beer person, or whatever. So I do think that NFTs become part of our personality and how we show that off to the world, and what we drink is part of that. So they're not going anywhere, but right now, I think what you're smelling is correct.
Yeah, like any new technology, there's always there's always the bleeding edge and then the cutting edge. But I agree. I think NFTs
meanwhile, I'm totally buying NFTs in my personal life, but yeah,
like I don't own an NFT, but I can see the appeal, and especially blockchain and how that's going to enter just our contractual or transactional lives, I guess. There's just discount codes and that kind of thing that might open up for brewers and wineries and distillers an avenue to do more promos that are targeted in places that it's legal to do so. Whereas right now, paper coupons are legal in this state, not in this state, blah, 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 bing, bada, boom. You can really target a blockchain or an NFT by zip code or, or whatever. I don't know. I'm acting like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but
well, I'll throw this at you. This is kind of weird, and I love that we're working on a project right now in the metaverse where we're building one of the first metaverse vending machines networks. So you go there, you could buy something in a vending machine, you get it delivered. The person that owns the property in the metaverse, they're getting a cut just like they would in the real world. And so I think you're going to see, neon signs popping up, being distributed by, directly by suppliers to people with really great spaces. I think you're going to see all sorts of things that happen in the real world move to the metaverse, and for it to get cooler and more useful. And so do I think it's a good idea for our clients and for us to be learning those skill sets and be flexing there? I do. Do I think it needs to get more useful for consumers to really care? Yes.
I'm curious what NFTs you have, Dan, and do you just own them to sell them?
Oh, wow, you're really getting into it. Okay, I got to open up my OpenSea I don't have any of the super fancy, like, $250,000 NFTs. That's nuts and probably would lead to a change in my family status. But I do have some pretty geeky shit. So this is a Star Chart SE on the Polygon chain, right? And it's pre-mint, and I really don't know anything about it except my buddy on Discord said you're going to kill it on this one. Buy this. So I think there's a lot of word of mouth. And I should mention that one thing I don't think is smelling is Discord. Discord is a new social channel. I think Bud is the first one there. I salute them for that. I think all brands need to sort of start certainly listening on Discord, and I think it's going to be a really important place to play.
Interesting. That's awesome. And all right, well, good Lord, it's 1:30.
And you're at Chili's. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I'm going to eat the rest of my triple dipper, very healthy fried foods here, and some sort of sugary margarita. It's just awful.
Slopperita.
Live it up, Harry. Live it up.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for drinking beer, and I appreciate you. And we'll catch up with you in a few months.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jordan. See ya.
All right, take care.
Dan.